A comet that appears every 160,000 years, a glowing ring of metal that just fell out of the sky, and a giant coronal hole spanning a quarter of the circumference of our Sun, Michael Snyder reports. 2025 has been quite a chaotic year already. On New Year's Eve, lightning struck four of the most iconic buildings in our entire country. On New Year's Day, we had attacks in New Orleans, Las Vegas. Justin Trudeau stepped down just a few days later, and now we're in the midst of the worst fire disaster in U.S. history. Meanwhile, a lot of other really weird stuff has been going on in the sky above our heads. For example, a once-in-a-lifetime comet that only comes around once every 160,000 years is about to be visible from our planet. If you're a fan of sky gazing, make sure you have your eyes to the skies this evening. A once-in-a-lifetime comet is said to become visible for the first time in 160,000 years, and you don't want to miss it. The comet is called C 2024 G3 Atlas, was discovered by the Atlas survey system, and has been slowly approaching the inner solar system. Most people have never even heard of this comet, and that is unfortunate because this is the only chance that we will ever have to see it. According to BBC, this comet was a perihelion on Monday. A bright comet could be visible in skies across the globe over the coming days for the first time in 160,000 years. NASA said the future brightness of the comet is notoriously hard to predict, but that comet C 2024 G3 Atlas could remain bright enough to be seen by the naked eye. On Monday, the comet was at perihelion, the point at which it is closest to the Sun, which influences how bright it appears. Experts say it could be visible from Monday night. Scientists are telling us that those living in the southern hemisphere will have the best chance of viewing it with the naked eye. Unfortunately, those that miss it now will not get another opportunity for 160,000 years. Of course, it's just a matter of time before the next comet comes around. And according to NASA, there are literally billions of comets in the Kuiper Belt. NASA estimates there are billions of comets orbiting the Sun in the Kuiper Belt, a region of the solar system home to Pluto and the more distant Oort cloud. It's a lot of giant space rocks. Sadly, I'm entirely convinced that giant space rocks will make a lot of headlines during the chaotic times that are rapidly approaching. So anytime there is a giant space rock in the news, it will definitely be getting my attention. On another note, it's being reported that an absolutely huge glowing ring of metal fell out of the sky and landed in Kenya earlier this month. It's been more than a week since reports first emerged about a glowing ring of metal that fell from the sky and crashed near a remote village in Kenya. According to the Kenya Space Agency, the object weighed 1,100 pounds and had a diameter of more than 8 feet. When measured after it landed on December 30th. A couple of days later, the space agency confidently reported that the object was a piece of space debris, saying it was a ring that separated from a rocket. Such objects are usually designed to burn up as they re-enter the Earth's atmosphere or to fall over unoccupied areas such as the oceans, the space agency told New York Times. Officials insist that this was simply a piece of space debris, space junk, but none of them can tell us where it originated. Isn't that odd? You would think that it would not be too difficult to identify a giant ring of metal that is over 8 feet wide and that weighs more than 1,000 pounds, but so far this is an unsolved mystery. And since those initial reports were published in Western media, a small band of dedicated space trackers have been using open source data to try to identify precisely which space object fell into Kenya. So far, they have not been able to identify the rocket launch to which the large ring can be attributed. On top of everything else, the Sun is starting to behave very strangely once again. All over social media, people are talking about an absolutely enormous coronal hole that spans a quarter of the circumference of the Sun. A huge coronal hole spanning a quarter of the circumference of the Sun is opening, allowing unusual fast solar winds to head towards our Earth, NASA announces. And so far, the mainstream media in the Western world is not really talking much about the story, but I did find a news outlet overseas that is discussing it. NASA reported that a massive coronal hole recently opened across the sun's circumference, further letting out an alarmingly fast stream of solar wind reaching speeds up to 800 kilometers per second towards our Earth, causing concern and panic across social media. The matter in question also sparked debate among scientists about its possible effects on Earth, since it can lead to geomagnetic storms causing disturbance for satellite operations and electrical systems. Moreover, these geometrically disturbances can also result in lower magnetic latitudes. For the moment, it does not appear that there is a serious threat to our planet, but this is yet another example of how erratic the sun has become. Over the past several years, I've written enormous articles about this, but very few others seem to be too concerned. But I would suggest that they should be concerned. We could not exist without the giant ball of fire that our planet revolves around, and the recent instability that we have been witnessing is extremely alarming. Most people have no idea how large the sun really is. Approximately 1.3 million Earths could fit inside of it, and even the smallest change in the sun has dramatic implications for our climate. It is not a mystery why global weather patterns have gone completely nuts. The sun has been behaving very strangely, and I believe that this will be an enormous story during the years ahead. So let's keep a close eye on the sky, because the weirdness that we have seen so far is only just the beginning. Michael Snyder on End of the American Dream. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. This is by Michael Snyder and about the author. Michael Snyder's new book entitled Why is available on paperback and for Kindle on Amazon. He's also written 8 other books that are available on Amazon, including Chaos, End Times, 70 Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, and A Living Life That Really Matters. When you purchase any of Michael's books, you help to support the work that he's doing. You can also get his articles by email as soon as he publishes them by subscribing to his Substack newsletter. Michael has published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and The Most Important News, and he's always freely and happily allowed others to republish those articles on their own websites. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, we strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.